Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church. And I'm here today to finish up this week, and in fact, finish up a couple of weeks of looking at various scriptures in Matthew, Luke, and now Mark. Now, Monday, I'll start talking about Easter week because Sunday's Palm Sunday and Easter's right around the corner. But today, I want to stick with my plan of these three gospel fellows. And today, there's a really neat passage in Mark chapter 12, beginning with verse 28. And here's how it goes. One of the teachers of religious law was standing there and listening to the debate. Okay, now, the Sadducees are debating with Jesus. Not really a debate, they're discussing something, they're listening to him. And it's interesting how so often the religious leaders of the day wanted Jesus's opinion about something. Now, the crazy part is they really didn't want his opinion because they thought he knew something. They wanted his opinion because they wanted to try to trick him. They wanted to catch him in a mistake or catch him in disparaging the law. Anything, anything to discredit this man Jesus. And if you wondered how that actually happened, well, listen to the political rhetoric of the day. So much of it is not so much what do you say, but what do you say compared to what you used to say, or what do you say because this, or they're trying to catch people. And, you know, it's generally pretty easy to do that. Now, in Jesus's case, wasn't quite so easy. So this religious leader, perhaps a Pharisee, perhaps a scribe, it doesn't tell us, comes and asks Jesus this one question. Of all the commandments, which is the most important? Now, when he says all the commandments, he's referring to the 10 commandments that were given by God to Moses at Mount Sinai. That's there. But he's also referring to all of the other commandments or laws that are issued in the book of Leviticus, of which there's 600 and some or more. And he wants Jesus to somehow push it all down into a simple number or to catch him in excluding something. So he asked the question, which is the most important? And Jesus answered, the most important commandment is this. Listen, O Israel, the Lord our God is the one and only Lord. And you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. The second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. No other commandment is greater than these. Jesus starts with what is the first of the 10 commandments given by God to Moses. And he uses parts of what's called the Great Shema, which is a statement, listen, O Israel, the Lord God is one. And that's in reference to the cultural belief that there are lots of gods. And so I can follow this one or that one, it doesn't matter, I'm following a God. But the God of the desert, which is what he's called sometimes, says, no, there's only one, and it's me, and there is no other. And to emphasize that, Jesus says you have to love him with all of your heart, your soul, your mind, and your strength. You have to love him with everything you have. Now, that's not a simple task. It's hard to do that, especially living in this world where things don't work out the way they're, quote, supposed to, unquote. It's hard to live a life that is totally focused on God. And maybe some people try, but I don't think anybody succeeds because those who I would assume are the closest to that are the very first to acknowledge that they don't meet the standard. So what does that leave you and me? Well, it means that we have to try to put God first in everything we do. And maybe you've tried that and you're one of those who said, but that didn't work. Well, I don't know what you mean by it didn't work. If you mean it didn't get you what you wanted, why did you think it would work? If if all it's led to is pain and grief, well, maybe you ought to rethink the whole thing anyway. And for those of you who've had nothing to do with God, or you're mad at him, whichever, perhaps you've been looking at the wrong God. This God is a God who wants all of you 24/7. He wants every moment, your good and your bad ones. And he'll work out smoothing the things that need to be smoothed out in your life by teaching you how to ask for forgiveness. But there's a second law. The second law, according to Jesus, is just as important as the first one. So, what is the second one? The second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. No other commandment is greater than these two. Loving your neighbor more than yourself is hard. It's frustrating. It's a commandment that in some ways just doesn't make sense. But God looks at the world in a way that you and I can't. He sees the totality of life and our little part in it. And when we love ourselves instead of others, we get selfish, we get moody, and we will never find the joy in life that we seek for. Now, let me rephrase that. You cannot find meaning and joy and exceptional grace by focusing on yourself. And some of you who listen to me today might be doing that. And I'm not going to put down your pain or your suffering or belittle you. I'm just saying that putting yourself first is never going to work out in the long run. We have to put others first. That's right. We have to sacrifice ourselves so others may prosper. But in doing so, we fulfill the commandment of God. And that puts us in a special place in terms of walking with Him. I don't know how you've tried it. Maybe you'll say, well, it doesn't work. I don't really know what you mean by that, unless doesn't work means I didn't get what I wanted. But I don't want really what I want. I want what God wants. Because I've learned over the years, that's a whole lot better plan. Will you think about that? You got the whole weekend. I'll be back on Monday. We'll talk about something special. And if you have a need or a concern, let us know. We'll do whatever we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. Thanks so much for listening. Have a special, special, special weekend. God bless you. I'll talk to you again.